Alright guys, before we get started, I just want to quickly plug the one-to-one tutoring that I offer. Wow, so cool, awesome. Okay, enjoy the video.
Hi guys! Today we are going to be doing an inspector course and we're just going to be doing the basics. So what I mean by that is we're not going to be going into a detailed plot breakdown, we're not going to be going through every character, we're not going to be touching on every piece of context. I'm going to pick the things that I think you need to know from the very beginning. This is the stuff that's going to form the foundation of every exam question that you take down the line. So let's get stuck in. First, we're going to look at the form. The form of an inspector course is a play. And more than that, it's not just a play, it's a morality play. Okay, so when we're thinking about what a morality play is, or when we're approaching any word and we don't know what it means, we can break it down. So we know what a play is, hopefully. Morality is derived from the word moral or morals. So you'll hear people say, I'm a moral person, or that person has really strong morals. And these are basically just guidelines that we put in place to decide what is right or what is wrong. So we may say that punching someone is morally wrong, or we may say it's morally right. And this is where people often come into different disagreements because people have different morals. So when we're thinking about authorial intention, because we always want to be thinking about the author, because that is how we reach higher grades, going deeper than the surface level, not just thinking, oh, this character is acting in this way, thinking, why did the author make the character act in that way? So let's delve into this authorial intention. So a morality play is trying to teach morals to the audience. But the play isn't doing itself. The play isn't a little bill with legs, teaching you something. That's not what it is. Okay, the play is inanimate and it is written by an author. So it is the morals of the author that is being taught to the audience. And so the author in this case is J.B. Priestley. Probably in your exams, you will just refer to him as Priestley. So we are really interested in Priestley's morals. And this is when we're going to start going down into our context here, because our context and our themes for the play are going to give us a real insight into what morals Priestley wants to impart onto his audience. So let's scroll down here, and we've got here social responsibility. All right, and that is a really big theme in the play. Okay, so let's break it down. Social responsibility. Well, to be responsible is to care for something else, to take responsibility for something else. For example, if you're an older sibling, you may have to take responsibility for your younger siblings sometimes and help and care for them. And so when we're talking about a social responsibility, social can make us think of other people and our social interactions with them. So it is taking responsibility for the people around you, but can also make us think of this word society. And so when you are when you are having a social responsibility, you are having a responsibility to the other people in your society to care for them when they're in need. And this is called a socialist belief. Okay, so this is something that falls under socialism, the idea that we have a duty to the other people in our society. All right, so when we're coming back to this idea of morals, Priestley's morals are the same as a socialist morals, because Priestley is a socialist. So he also believes in social responsibility. So when we're thinking that his play is a morality play and it's trying to teach us, the audience, something, it is trying to teach us the morals of socialism. So that is his goal. And so if it's pro-socialist, the play is also anti-capitalist. So he doesn't like capitalism. And capitalism is very, very simplified. It is where capital, which could mean money, it could mean land, it could mean many other things. Crypto, I suppose, would be a modern definition. basically the accumulation of wealth, the accumulation of capital. Accumulation means gathering as much as possible. So the gathering of wealth is prioritized above all else. So a capitalist is someone who prioritizes gathering wealth above everything else. So a capitalist does not believe in social responsibility, but Priestley does. So that makes him anti-capitalist. And he actually thinks that capitalism is immoral. And so his whole play is trying to promote socialism. Yay, socialism, he loves it. But he does not like capitalism. And he will, at any opportunity in this play, make fun of or discredit capitalism because it's his play and ultimately he can put what he wants in it. So that is the theme of social responsibility. So when we actually see this applied in the play, our big socialist character throughout the play is the inspector. Okay, Inspector Gould, and he is often referred to, and you can write this in your exams, this is a really good piece of a technique to know, is he is Priestley's mouthpiece. Priestley's mouthpiece. And that means that Priestley speaks his ideas and his morals through the inspector. So that is how we know straight away that the inspector is socialist, because Priestley is socialist and Priestley is speaking through the inspector. And so to contrast that, Mr. Burling is our resident capitalist in the play. And Priestley thinks that Mr. Burling and his views are very immoral. And so Priestley uses another key technique, which is dramatic irony, to ridicule Mr. Burling and ridicule Mr. Burling's beliefs. For example, if we just scroll across here, for example, Mr. Burling in the play says, the Titanic, unsinkable, absolutely unsinkable. Now, Mr. Burling, because the play is set in 1912, doesn't know that Titanic sinks, but the play is performed in 1945, so the audience does. And so Priestley is showing that Mr. Burling's views are incorrect and they can't be trusted, because no matter how confident Mr. Burling is in this quote, he ends up being wrong. So if we can't trust him and what he says here, how can we possibly trust any of his other beliefs or any other judgments that he makes? So moving on with this character of Mr. Burling, he is a capitalist, and he also, so he can kind of, when you're talking about this theme of social responsibility, he can be brought up. He can also be brought up when you're talking about this theme of age, because Mr. Burling is a member of the older generation. And so his capitalist views are very fixed. So when he is confronted in the play about how he has treated a member of the working class, he simply says, it's my duty to keep labor costs down. And so you can see here that he is very reliant on his capitalist views. He does not think they're wrong. He has no question about them. And when he is questioned on them, he simply talks about costs, which links to capital. And so he is using the logic of capitalism to shirk blame. And Priestley is doing this because he wants us to see how single-minded the view of capitalism can be. He wants us to disagree with Mr. Burling, disagree with what he's saying here, and agree with Sheila, who says, in argument to this, these girls aren't cheap labor. She says, they're people. And so Sheila, who is a member of the younger generation, so this is said by Sheila, and she is from the younger generation, she is challenging the views of the older generation, and her own mind is starting to be swayed towards socialism. because she cannot agree with Mr. Burling's prioritization of wealth above all else. She is starting to believe in social responsibility. She believes that her father had a responsibility to help Eva keep her job, and therefore she is starting to come around to the morals of the play, something that Priestley also wants the audience to come around to. That is why he lets Sheila give a counter-argument here, and he lets her have the final word, because he wants us, the audience, to agree with Sheila. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to cover today. Again, this was just a very quick overview just to give you a grip on these simple ideas, whilst also making sure you're going beneath the surface in your look at authorial intention. In other videos, I will go into this in more detail, but that is it for today. So if you think there's anything I missed, or there's anything you would absolutely love more detail on, please let me know, and there will be a video in the future on that. Okay, have a great rest of your day.